Disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. I never thought I'd see him that way. Not in a million years. To me, he was just a boy I'd practically raised, someone I saw grow from a shy teenager into a young man with dreams in his eyes. He used to sit across from me at the kitchen table, nervously tapping his pen while doing homework, always asking for advice, always looking up to me. I looked at him like a son, until that night. It wasn't supposed to happen. I was just helping him get through a rough patch. He had moved back into the house temporarily, after breaking up with his girlfriend. He was lost, hurt, and I was there to offer comfort like I always had. But something had shifted, something unspoken, something neither of us dared to admit out loud. That evening was different. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you hear your own heartbeat. We had been watching a movie, something light just to distract him. But then, the power went out. Just like that, darkness and silence. I went to grab a candle, and when I turned around, he was there. Closer than before. His eyes held something I hadn't seen before. Something intense, something real. For the first time, I didn't see a boy. I saw a man. I told myself to look away, to walk away, to remember who I was to him. But I didn't. I stood there, frozen in time, with every memory flashing back, every smile, every laugh, every moment that now felt like a puzzle coming together in a way I never expected. He reached out, his fingers brushing mine, and it felt like electricity. Was it wrong to feel something? Or had the lines just become too blurry over time? I didn't know what to do. My heart was racing, and in that moment, it wasn't just about what he wanted. It was about what I had buried deep inside and never allowed myself to feel. And just when I thought he might say something that would change everything, the front door creaked open. What happened next changed the course of everything between us. Would you have walked away or stayed? Let me know in the comments. What would you have done in my place? Vote in the poll. Should love have limits, or can timing change everything? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next part of the story. This is only the beginning, and trust me, it gets even more complicated from here. My heart jumped at the sound of the front door creaking open. For a second, neither of us moved. He pulled back slightly, his eyes still locked with mine, but the intensity had shifted, like we were both snapped out of something we weren't sure we were supposed to feel. I stepped away quickly, pretending to adjust the candle on the table even though my hands were shaking. He cleared his throat, trying to act normal, but the air between us wasn't normal anymore. It was heavy, charged. It was just the wind, we realized, pushing the slightly open door wider. I walked over and shut it gently, pressing my palm against the cold wood, taking a deep breath. I needed to remind myself who I was and who he was. But it was already too late for that. Something had shifted inside me, and I knew, deep down, that it had shifted inside him too. We didn't speak about it. Not that night. Not the next day either. But everything felt different. He avoided my gaze at breakfast. He mumbled thanks when I handed him his coffee and left the kitchen almost immediately. I watched him from the hallway as he disappeared into his room, and for a moment, I felt a mix of guilt and confusion. How did we even get here? I've known Ryan since he was 15. His parents lived next door before they moved away. I was the one who helped him with his college applications, taught him how to cook pasta, gave him advice when his heart got broken the first time. He used to call me his second mom. That's what made this so hard. That's what made this so complicated. I never thought twice about letting him stay with me when things didn't work out with his girlfriend last month. He had nowhere else to go, and I wanted to help. That's all it was supposed to be. But maybe the closeness blurred the lines. Late-night talks turned into long stares. Quiet dinners stretched into hours of unspoken thoughts. I kept telling myself it was nothing, just emotions filling a lonely space. But deep down, I knew better. The way he looked at me that night in the candlelight wasn't the way a son looks at a mother figure. And I didn't stop it. That's the part one keep replaying in my head. I didn't stop it. I keep wondering, was he feeling the same thing all along? Or did it start when he saw me differently, maybe when I came back from work that evening, hair a little undone, makeup slightly faded, laughing about something silly? I remember the way he looked at me. It wasn't casual. It wasn't innocent. And I felt something stir in me that I didn't want to admit. But maybe I'm just imagining all this. Maybe I'm the one reading too much into something that doesn't exist. Or maybe it does exist, and we're both just too scared to face it. Have you ever felt something you couldn't explain, with someone you weren't supposed to feel it for? Tell me in the comments. Would you trust your instincts, or push them down to protect what's familiar? The days that followed were quiet, but not in a peaceful way. It was the kind of silence that holds questions no one dares to ask. Ryan barely stayed in the same room with me for more than a few minutes. He kept himself busy, offering to fix things around the house, running errands, going for long walks alone. I pretended not to notice. But I noticed everything. One evening, I heard him on the phone in the guest room. His voice was low, almost shaky. I don't know what to do anymore. It's not that simple. I stood outside the door, frozen. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but his words felt like they were meant for me. I backed away before I could hear more. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking, was he talking about me? Was he feeling the same confusion, the same guilt? Then came an unexpected twist. His ex, Marissa, showed up at the house. She had found out he was staying with me and came by, just to talk. I didn't know she'd still cared enough to do that. She smiled politely at me, but her eyes were filled with questions. Ryan looked like he had seen a ghost. They went for a walk together, and I waited, wondering what they were talking about. Was he telling her about that night? Did he want to get back together with her? A part of me hoped he would, just to make all of this easier. But another part of me felt something sharp inside at the thought of it. When he came back, he didn't say a word about it. I didn't ask. But something had changed again. He was quieter, sadder, more distant. Maybe he felt torn. Maybe he hated himself for even thinking about me that way. Or maybe he thought I regretted it. The conflict wasn't just between us anymore. It was inside each of us. Him, trying to figure out if he could erase that moment or if he even wanted to. Me, wondering if I was holding on to something I should let go of. But it's never just black and white when emotions are involved. And now with Marissa back in the picture, things were only going to get more complicated. What do you think Ryan should do? Should he face the truth or go back to what's safe? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you do if you were in his shoes? Ryan started staying out late. At first, he said he was catching up with friends, clearing his head, but I could feel it. He was trying to create distance. From me. From what happened. From the look we shared that night that neither of us could forget. The house felt emptier now, even though we were both still living in it. We passed each other like strangers, yet every time our eyes met, it was like the moment was waiting to happen all over again. One night, around 11, I was in the kitchen washing a glass when I heard the front door quietly unlock. I didn't turn. I just waited. His footsteps were slow, hesitant. He must have seen the lights still on. "You're up," he said softly, like he didn't expect me to be. I nodded, barely glancing at him. "Yeah, couldn't sleep." There was a long pause before he spoke again. "I saw Marissa tonight." I finally turned to face him. He was standing just a few feet away, but it felt like miles. "And?" I asked, even though I already knew the answer mattered more than I wanted to admit. He looked down, rubbing the back of his neck like he was trying to find the right words. "We talked. A lot. She wants to try again." My stomach tightened, but I didn't show it. I just nodded, like I was okay. Like I hadn't already imagined 1,000 versions of what he'd say next. "But I don't know if I can," he added, almost under his breath. That's when it hit me he was just as torn as I was. Neither of us had the answers. Neither of us wanted to say the wrong thing first. The silence between us grew louder, thick with everything we weren't saying. I could see it in his face. He was fighting something. Maybe guilt. Maybe longing. Maybe both. And then he said it. Quietly. Carefully. That night. I haven't stopped thinking about it. I didn't breathe. I couldn't. The weight of those words hung in the air like a storm about to break. Before I could reply, his phone buzzed on the counter. He looked at it, and I saw her name light up on the screen. Everything stopped. If you were me, what would you do next? Let me know in the comments. Would you walk away or finally say what's been unspoken all along? The buzzing of his phone felt louder than it should have. He didn't answer right away. He just stared at the screen like it was asking him to make a choice he wasn't ready for. I stood there, gripping the edge of the sink, waiting. Not saying anything. Not moving. The room felt like it had shrunk, like it couldn't hold both of us and all the feelings crammed between us. Then, without a word, Ryan silenced the call. He didn't decline it. He didn't answer. He just let it fade into nothing. Our eyes met again. And this time it wasn't just about that night. It was everything we'd been holding back. I thought he was going to say something real. But just then, a loud knock echoed through the house. We both jumped. Ryan turned toward the door, confused. Who would be here this late? He asked. I didn't answer. My chest tightened. I had a weird feeling, one I couldn't explain. He opened the door slowly. Standing there was Marissa. Soaked from the rain, mascara smudged, hair clinging to her cheeks. She looked straight past him and locked eyes with me. Can we talk? She asked, her voice trembling. I didn't know if she was angry or hurt or just desperate. Maybe all three. Ryan looked completely thrown. He stepped aside without saying a word. She stepped in, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor, her eyes never leaving mine. I know something happened, she said. No small talk. No hesitation. Straight to the heart of it. I know it wasn't just me he ran from. I felt my stomach drop. Ryan tried to speak, but she held up her hand. I'm not here to fight, she said. I just want to understand how it got this far, and why neither of you stopped it. No one spoke. The silence was unbearable. She looked at Ryan, then back at me. Do you love him? She asked. The words came out like a challenge, but there was a sadness buried beneath them. I didn't know what to say. Maybe I did. Maybe I was just afraid of what would happen if I answered out loud. What would you do if someone forced you to face a truth you weren't ready to admit? Tell me in the comments, should I tell her the truth or stay silent? What would you say if you were in my place? The room felt like it was holding its breath. Marissa stood there waiting for me to say something I hadn't even admitted to myself. Ryan shifted uneasily between us, torn in every direction. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. My heart was pounding so loud it felt like the only thing I could hear. Yes, I finally said, the words slipping out before I could take it back. My voice was quiet, but steady. I didn't mean for it to happen. I didn't expect it, but I can't lie to you. Something changed that night. Marissa's face cracked just a little. Her eyes watered, but she nodded like part of her already knew. Ryan stepped forward, his voice tight. Marissa, I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't even know what I was feeling until it was too late. But I swear I never wanted this to be some messy triangle. She looked at him, then back at me. I came here thinking I'd fight for you, she said softly. But maybe this fight isn't mine anymore. She turned, quietly walked to the door, and left, no yelling, no drama. Just silence. And that silence said everything. Ryan stood there stunned, like he didn't know what to do next. He turned to me, eyes wide with emotion. I thought once I made a choice, everything would get clearer. But I don't even know who I am to you anymore. You were like a son to me, I said honestly. But that night, something shifted. I didn't plan it. I didn't want it to happen. But it did. And I've been terrified ever since. He moved closer, Slowly, his expression unreadable. So now what? What are we supposed to do with this? Before I could answer, a knock came at the door. Again. We both froze. Ryan opened it, expecting Marissa, maybe, but it wasn't her. It was someone else entirely. A man I hadn't seen in years. My ex-husband. He looked between us, confused. Sorry for just showing up. I've been thinking a lot about us lately. Ryan and I looked at each other, stunned. Of all the nights, of all the moments, why now? Everything we'd buried was bubbling back up. Not just what happened between me and Ryan, but everything from before. Everything I thought I had moved past. Now the question wasn't just about what Ryan and I had done. It was about what we were going to do next. What do you think I should do now with both of them standing in front of me? Tell me in the comments. Would you choose the past or risk everything for something completely unexpected? Ryan stepped back, his eyes flicking between me and my ex-husband. The tension in the room was thick, but this time, it wasn't the kind that pushed us towards something dangerous. It was the kind that demanded clarity. My ex looked genuinely unsure, like he'd come here expecting a different version of me, one that still belonged to the past. I saw in Ryan's eyes that he thought this was the moment everything would fall apart. Maybe I did too. I took a breath, the kind that carries the weight of everything left unsaid. You're too late, I told my ex. Not with anger, not with bitterness, just honesty. I've changed. Everything has. He nodded slowly, sensing the finality in my voice. I just wanted to make things right, he whispered. Some things can't go back, I said quietly. He gave me a sad smile, stepped away, and left without another word. The door closed behind him, and the silence that followed felt different, still heavy, but this time full of possibility instead of guilt. Ryan walked toward me, his expression soft but unsure. You didn't have to say that. I did, I replied, because I need to stop running. From the past. From how I feel. From you. For the first time, we weren't pretending. We weren't holding anything back. Ryan reached out, and I didn't pull away. The truth is, life doesn't always fit into neat labels. Sometimes, feelings come out of nowhere, and they challenge everything we thought we knew about ourselves. But what matters is what we do with those feelings, whether we run from them or face them with honesty and courage. That night, Ryan stayed. Not just in the house, but truly with me. We sat in the quiet, no longer afraid of it. And for the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel like a question. It felt like a choice. What do you think? Did I make the right one? Let me know in the comments. Would you want to see what happens next in our story?